this record. Here goes this record, and you are good to go.
Rock on. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Barside. I'm your host, Remy, along with my lovely co-host, Lauren.
Hi.
And it is definitely hotter than July out there today, hence my album cover backdrop. I was thinking about this album today. It was bloody, blazing, ferociously hot out there. And I'm like, I haven't given that a spin in a long time. So I pulled out the old Stevie Wonder, Hotter Than July. Gave it a listen. It's good ass song.
I got home and it was 84 degrees in my house.
Oh, gross. At least, like, I had to work in the heat, but then I come home to air conditioning, so that's nice.
I wish.
The car has no air conditioning and the work has no air conditioning, but the home does. So.
All right. While you're doing all this, I'm gonna put our stuff on our socials. So make sure you follow us on our social media.
Yeah, and if you've got a question or a comment or a story, we've got an email, and it's
We've
like
got
a
it.
barren wasteland most days. We would love to hear from you guys. Seriously. At Barside. Wait, what is it? You know it.
barsidetales@gmail.com.
Maybe I should know the email too, huh? Yes. Send us your stories. Send us your fun stuff. Don't send unsolicited nude pics. We don't want them. We'll put you on blast, like, if you do. But today we're going to be talking about...
Emails I'll take.
Yeah.
Just no dick pics, please.
All the lady bits you want. Hear that? All the lady bits you want. No dick pics. So today we're going to be talking about a bartender's intuition. We've all got it. I think if you've been in the industry long enough, you've worked long enough, there's certain things that you can pick up on, like, right away. You know when somebody's, like, getting ready to get into a scuffle or a fight. You know when somebody's about to get cut off. I've seriously looked at a group of girls and been like, I bet you that one cries by the end of the night. And she does. You know, like,
always.
You got that sixth sense about things. And so, yeah, I figured we'd tell some fun stories about that. And, like, all the, you know, the weird way that just kind of comes into your consciousness after a while from being behind the bar. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's good stuff.
I definitely have had a couple of those moments. You know, you get to know people when it comes to, like, working at, like, a regular bar, and sometimes when you're in a nightclub, you get to know, like, a handful of people really well. But, you know, that helps out a lot if you actually know them. But then there's sometimes when you meet somebody for the first time and you're like, this is going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not good. It's not going to be a good situation here.
You're going to be
great.
Yeah. Oh, like the sixth sense, it's not always for bad things. You know, your intuition can be for good things. Like, oh my God, we're going to become best friends, aren't we? Like, this is going to be awesome. You're a cool person. You can just get that vibe off of people all the time. And it's part of what makes us good at our jobs is when you can read somebody's vibe and just tell, like, what kind of customer they're going to be, what kind of server you're going to be to them. You know, some people like you to chat them up and tell them funny jokes and stories, and other people just want to be left alone and stuff. You have to develop your sense of intuition. Otherwise, you're not going to last very long. I remember a girl that I worked with for like a week. She came into a restaurant that I was working at, and she was, like, covered in tattoos, really cool. And she's like, oh yeah, like, I have a part-time job, like, at a circus doing, like, sideshow stuff, like sword swallowing and fire juggling. I was like, that's pretty badass stuff. Cool, you know? And her first night on the floor, she broke out in tears. She, like, was crying in the back, just sobbing uncontrollably because she got stiffed. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, you get stiffed all the time in this industry, honey. You're not going to get 20% off of every single time. Not everybody is going to dig you.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to think your shtick is cool. You got to roll with the punches. You got to have a little more thick skin than that.
Well, did she ever use any of that circus stuff? Like,
I mean, no, she didn't stick around long enough for us to find out. I don't know what she expected, but it was, like, literally her first tip that was like a stiff, and she was sobbing uncontrollably, like, really needed to be consoled. Yeah, I don't remember her name or anything like that. I wouldn't put her on blast like that. But no, she was not destined for the restaurant industry. But that was where my intuition would have been off. I would not have expected that from somebody who's, like, into so many kind of, like, tough things, you know?
Right.
What are you gonna do?
I mean, but that's the thing is that you can use some of those like talents that you have just in your personal life to sell to people and have them tip the shit out of you because you're just like if I was a sideshow act, I'd be like, oh, you can tip me like, you know, you're gonna tip me $20, but it's gonna be like stapled to my skin, you know, like if I staple it to my skin, can I keep it? Like, come on, like there's something you can do.
So for you and me, that's cool. For a bunch of our friends, that would be like, oh my God, best waitress ever, right? But not everybody's like that. Some people are like, get away from me, freak show. Do you know what I mean? Don't want to
Some
see
people are
anything
just
like
like,
that.
tipping isn't something I do at all.
Exactly. Right. And that was the whole point of the story, was just like, you got to let that shit roll off your back and forget about it. Like, there's going to be another table. There's going to be more customers. Count your money at the end of the night, not after every table that you wait on. That's just the way to do it, you know. Life skills, man. You got to be able to roll with the punches in the service industry. It's the way it goes. But, you know, the other times I've had people come in and, you know, right off the bat, you can just be like, oh, my God, this person's going to suck. They're going to want to talk my ear off, and it's going to be about shit that I don't care about and don't want to. And you're right. You know, like 20 minutes later, they're just like babbling up a storm, talking about nonsense or talking about shit that you're not interested in. You're like, got to smile and, oh, yeah, really? Like, I got a ticket over here I got to make, you know. I got some other customers. I'll be right back with you. I was always good at judging those ones as soon as they walk in the door. Like, if I could roll my eyes, I would, but I'm not going to.
Right. Oh, my friend Nikki said, miss and loved when you were my bartender, Lauren. So, hey, girl, what's up? And, oh, I miss being your bartender, too. Yeah, no, there's definitely, like, people that, you know, like when you have, like, somebody that walks in and you're like, I know that this dude's just going to order, like, a straight Budweiser and he's going to drink Budweiser all night. Or you're like, you look over at a guy and you're like, this dude's going to ask me for the most complicated drink, but he's probably going to tip the shit out of me at the end of the night. You know?
Yep.
Keep them coming kind of people.
Usually that guy's got a pretty girl on his arm that he's trying to impress. You know,
yeah.
He's like, do you know how to make, you're like, we'll get you what you need. We can figure it out. Yeah, no problem.
Exactly.
Always like that. And I hated working at bars where they didn't have all the ingredients to make stuff like that. Like if you're working at a sports bar, you know, they're not necessarily going to have all the ingredients to make your fancy schmancy cocktails. And it would bum me out that people would come in and want to order them. And I'm like, I can't. Like, sorry, I would, but I don't have the ingredients for it. Like, that just bums me out. I much prefer working at a bar that has just about everything under the sun that you can think of. Like, you want some weird drink that nobody's ever heard of? Like, I got 5 minutes. Hell yeah, I'll make that for you.
Or like, you know, when you, like for me, it was like working in nightclubs and everything. There's always the one bar that's a little bit slower than the rest. Right. And I always tell them, I'm like, that's the bar that you should have like all the stuff at to make like Manhattans and stuff, even though that's not normally what we make.
Right.
Those people that come in there and they go to that bar, it's usually because they want to stand there and like meander, like linger there for a while. And they want to have like a good quality cocktail and not a vodka cranberry or something like that, you know?
Right. And then you can always tell the other bartenders at the big bar, be like, if somebody comes up and wants one of those fancy drinks, send them over to the small bar. You know, like, we don't have it back here because we're kind of just trying to turn and burn, but they'll hook you up over there. And if everybody knows that, it wouldn't take but a couple of weeks for the customers to get used to that too. Like, hey, this is where you go for some, you know, more upscale fancy drinks. And this is just like speed, you know, come on, pump out as many vodka sodas as you can and beers.
I worked at a bar where like the slower of the bars had like beers that they didn't have in the back.
Sure.
But not necessarily liquor that they don't have in the back.
Right.
All the same liquor, but they had beer. And I was like, I don't understand. If it's just a bottle, then why not put like 2 or 3 bottles in the back too? You know what I mean?
Not no, that like doesn't make sense.
In the front. But it's like, I understand having different liquors than they do in the back.
If a customer doesn't know that that's what's up and they get that beer up at the small bar and then they go to the back and try and order the same one, you're like, oh, we don't have that. Like, I just got one up front. Like, you got to go back up front. Sorry. It's just a whole, that's just messy, you know?
Yeah.
I think if you had a nightclub style thing with like the big bar and the small bar and you were just known for like, all right, here's where you go if you want to stand around and chat and get a fancy cocktail that the bartender can take their time because it's a little bit slower. But like in the bag, just come up here and get your gin and tonics and your vodka sodas and your beers. Like that's it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or shots, just get us all the speed stuff. Like it wouldn't take long for people to figure that out and get it down pat. Pretty smart strategy. So I had a guy one time, and he came in and he was one of those obnoxious chatty dudes that you just like, everything he said was awkward and weird. And like, I didn't want to schmooze with him, but he wanted to schmooze with me, acting like we're best buds. And I'm like, I got it, like I'll be cool to you because I got to make my tips and I'm cool to everybody and stuff like that. But he was really just kind of driving me nuts. And he walked around the bar, like came around the back and took like 2 steps into the back area. And that's when I lost it and freaked out on him. It was like, I've been nice to you all night, bro, but get the fuck out from behind my bar. Like you're not allowed back here at all. And he tried to like, I was just trying to throw something. I'm like, if you got something to throw away, leave it on the bar. I'll throw it away for you. You don't come behind the bar. Like we're not cool like that. Fuck.
I've had to deal with people doing that way too many times. Like,
it's obnoxious.
I don't understand why anyone thinks that you're allowed to go behind the bar. Even my regulars, why do you think you can get behind the bar? I don't understand that. I've never once invited you behind the bar.
Exactly. No, that's
insane.
You got to be at some kind of really, really friendly corner dive bar, and your buddy is working and is like, hey man, like jump back there real quick because I know that you bartend too, and do something for me. That's about it. That's about the only time when you're like not officially working at a place where somebody might ask you to come behind the bar. But even then, that would be like weird,
I will say this. I did get invited behind the bar at my cousin Christine's bachelorette party.
Right.
I don't really remember going to Bookies in downtown Detroit because that's how drunk we were all at that point. It was like the last stop. And I only found out about it because my cousin sent me a picture of me behind the bar pouring shots.
Yeah.
Like apparently I was like, I'm a bartender.
They're like then hook it up, girl.
I'm like, I'm a bartender. Like, let me pour my cousin shots. And they were like, okay, here you go.
Fuck it.
Which I was like, why would you let me do that?
Question, was this old school Bookies in the old building, or was it when they remodeled the new place down on Cass? Was it like fancy? Was it fancy and new looking? No, so there was
no.
Old school Bookies was in like the giant building.
Yeah, the 3-story.
And it was really dark.
Ass elevator.
Yes.
Like, the 3-story building. So I didn't know that they even moved.
Oh yeah, so that whole building is being like redone, and it's taken years and years. But when I was still living down there, they moved locations. Like they shut down that building, and then they moved over to they remodeled like this old building, but made it look really fresh and brand new inside. They got a rooftop and like all kinds of shit in there. Yeah.
Wait, this one had a rooftop, but it didn't look super crazy nice or anything.
Well, when it was brand new, it was.
It was during movement, and I was pretty shitty, so I could have just not noticed.
I think it was the new one. Yeah, because it was over 10 years ago.
I just know that there was like an elevator that maybe fit like 3 people in it, and I was scared shitless the entire time going upstairs. It's like 3 stories, like 3 levels to it.
Yeah, that's the new one for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. When they remodeled this building, everything was brand new bars, brand new tables, brand new flooring. Like it looks great. It was fantastic. The old place had charm though. It was cool. Like it had a cool DJ booth and like an old school, dark, dingy Detroit bar kind of feel to it.
Our friend Jack said the only person who should be behind the bar is the bartender. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
Jack, that's my roommate, Drunk Jack. Whoop, whoop. Hey, what's up?
What up, Drunk Jack? Yeah, he's right. It's like, unless the bartender specifically asks you to come behind for some crazy reason, do not take it upon yourself to do it. And we've talked about that before, like places that have the weird opening at the bar for the bartender or servers to come in and out.
Right,
and people will stand right in front of it. Like, This is for people to come in and out.
It's a
not
lane.
Customers, right?
It's literally a lane. Like,
Move,
do not
bitch.
block it.
Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way.
You know, like working at Tipsy's, they have like a service well, but it's kind of like a weird placement for it because it's like front and center of the bar. And so people will stand right there because it's literally where you would like intuitively go stand to get a drink. Sure. But it's literally right in the middle. And it's like, dude, poorly designed right there. Well, I mean, not poorly designed, because I think that the idea, it's only one well, you know what I mean? Right. So the service well is also just your normal well. But I feel like if you're going to have servers that have to go up to it, it should be to the side.
Off to the side,
you know
I mean? It makes it would be uncomfortable for me as a server. And I think a lot of old school neighborhood bars would have that, like the bars kind of split in half by the server station. You know, the servers come get their drinks in the middle, and then you got your right half of the bar and your left half of the bar. And if it's done right with like a big kind of case of glasses and stuff like that, and like the little bars that come out, you know, people usually know not to stand there. But if the bar is packed enough, they're going to stand wherever the fuck they think they can get a drink. Let's be real. Which is another thing. You can always just tell, like, oh, this dipshit's going to go stand in the wrong place. And you feel weird telling people that, you know, like, excuse me, sir, miss, you're standing in the wrong spot. Like, you need to stand over here. Like, you're telling adults where to stand. But
or when they just like refuse to even listen to you when you're telling them, like, hey, I need to get there. Like, I work here. I literally have to get there. I'm not just some other customer going, move out of the way so I can stand where you're standing. Like, I legitimately have to work.
No, it's I'm telling you, it's essential and key. And if the bar industry ever makes a comeback after the whole pandemic shit is over, I think that's what I want to get into, is like consulting and building bars for people. Like, oh, you want to open up a bar and restaurant? Let me come in and design your bar for you, so that there's a server station that's in a convenient spot for everybody. There's a computer right near that server station so that servers can ring in their drinks and then get them, or far enough away so that they can ring in their drinks, give the bartender a minute to make it, and then head over to it. You know, placement of pop guns, placement of blenders, placement of dishwashers, all that stuff is essential to like a really well-oiled machine, a good working bar. And I think I'd be good at doing that. I think I'd be pretty solid at, like, all right, I've worked at enough bars. Like, let's take a look at your layout and your plan, where you want the bar. Here's where we put everything behind the bar. You know, here's how you build it. I could build a bar.
I think I could definitely build a bar layout. And it's always shocking to me, like, how many places I go into and I'm just like, whoever bought this place, whoever designed this place has never worked in a bar. And you can just tell, like, they've never bartended a day in their lives.
Exactly. Yep. You've never
served. Wow, none of this is like any kind of efficient at all.
All right. Well, one of the best places I worked at was a guy who, like, he spent 25 years, 30 years in the restaurant industry as a server and a bartender. And so he hired really good chef that knew what he was doing. He had that kind of like open kitchen look to it, to where the customers could see the kitchen and what was going on. And his bar was designed beautifully. It was a big square with seating all around it, and like plenty of room to walk around, and it was real close to the kitchen. All the glassware was set up nice. The beer taps were were on the back bar instead of the front bar, so you weren't wasting any space in between. It was a great place to work, and you could just do laps around the big square and take care of the whole thing by yourself. You know, one bartender could run the whole show, and it was a good like 25, 30 seats with people eating and stuff, but just the flow, the way that it was
just like a horseshoe, or
no, it was a big horseshoe, but it connected all the way. So like there was 3 or 4 seats on one end that usually didn't get sat, because that was like the ass end of it towards the kitchen. But all along one side, all along the front, and all along the other side was good. And it was separate from the rest of the dining room. Like, it had walls up behind it, so you had to actually step up and enter the bar area. And it was, not connected to, you couldn't just, you had to walk in the little entrance of it, instead of just anybody can come at you from wherever. was a good setup. I liked it a lot. Angelina's.
That's the thing is I really liked about Necto is like, so for people who haven't been to Necto, like when you walk inside, you have to go up to like a flight of stairs. You have to go all the way upstairs. Or you can go all the way downstairs into the basement. But normally you would go all the way upstairs. As soon as you walk through the doors, there's a bar right across from you. Or if you turn to the left, there's the main bar, which is 3 registers, but I think at other bars they would probably have 4 or 5, but Necto has really strong bartenders, and so they have 3 registers. And the way to get into that bar, you have to go all the way down that bar to the very, very back wall, and then there's a little tiny hall, like little doorway, and you go through that.
Yep.
And I remember even before that, before they redid the bar, there was only enough space behind the bar for one person to stand wherever you're standing. Like, if you could stand in one spot, serve people, turn around and grab beer and stuff from the coolers without moving at all. So, but it was like a good placement where like people weren't trying to get back there. It wasn't like a way that, however, really drunk people would see the doorway and be like, is this the bathroom? And it's like, clearly it's not the bathroom because we're bartending right here.
Right. Yeah. No, you can't pee. You can't pee right here. Not down our dump sink.
I know. It's so bad. But the bathrooms were all the way in the basement. So imagine drunk people trying to navigate very narrow hallways downstairs and upstairs.
Well, and dude, that place is a maze. If you're drunk and you don't know Necto, you can get lost real quick. It's big.
But it's huge.
It's
like people
huge.
don't
You're
realize how big it is, and it's like huge. That place is huge.
You're
but
like,
it was
wait,
awesome.
now I'm outside.
It was set up in such a way, or it still currently is set up in such a way that you can have like one bartender in the basement making bank for all those people down there. 3 bartenders upstairs making bank because there's a crap ton of people and 3 bartenders, and then 1 bartender all the way over on the side, and they're making bank because they're all like separated enough that they don't really like, and like each bar is in like a section, so it's like, it's a whole different atmosphere from one bar to the next.
Oh, for sure. That's what I love about the place.
The bar is kind of like leveled, like the top bar, is like the main floor, and then you go down like a half a floor for the smoking area, and then you go down the rest of the way to get into the basement. I love shit like that. I love maze bars where I'm just like, I'm going to go disappear for 25 minutes and somebody's going to come find me and I'm going to be in a totally different place.
Yeah, totally different mood, totally different vibe.
Right.
We did that last time we were out there. We were like hopping around from this bar to the next and getting a drink here and getting a drink there.
Gotta go upstairs and see my girl up there. Okay, gotta go downstairs and see my girl down there.
Lots of stairs, lots of walking around, but it makes you feel like
each room is like different music.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what makes it like the best because, it's not just like I can go get a drink at any bar. It's like I go get a drink at this bar because at this time they do the emo sing-along, and then upstairs this time they do, super goth stompy stomps.
Well, and the fact that it's so big that they can have a bunch of different kinds of really loud music going at the same time without it interfering with each other is impressive. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, it doesn't bleed at all.
Well-designed stuff.
But then it's like from there to working somewhere else, I'm like, man, why are these people doing this? Like, I worked at a bar where like there's like 6 or 7 registers. So there's 7 of us bartending at once, and they would have 2 bus tubs, like one in like a central location and the other at the end of the bar in a central location. And I'm just like, I literally have to grab drinks and walk them down to a bus tub in a nightclub.
Right.
With 7 other bartenders turning around quickly and stuff, and barbacks going back and forth. Like, just put the bus tubs underneath so I can just pick it up and throw it.
Yep. Can I have my own bus tub, please? Is that too much to ask? Well, and that's another intuition thing that's great, is when you start working at a place and you realize that they don't know what the fuck they're doing everything's ass backwards, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to hate it here. You know, you could just tell right away, like, they did not design this right. It's not being run right. Why are you making us, why should I have to run all the way down there to go to a bus tub when it could be right underneath, right in front of me, and then I don't have to move at all and bump into everybody? And like, just think, you know?
Right.
Just think.
Well, it's like, you know, with the intuition thing about that, it's kind of like, you can usually tell, or a good bartender can usually tell within like one shift, as soon as they walk in, they're like, either bartenders have like a choice. They're either going to stay for like a couple of months until they find something else,
yep.
or they're going to stay there for like years and years and years.
Yeah.
They're like, ride or die, or get me the hell out of here.
Or they're just going to turn around and walk right out and be like, nah,
right, exactly. They're either there for like a short period of time, or they're there for life.
Yep.
And, you know, that's like one thing that I will say, like, I am somebody that works at places long term. I worked at Necto for 8 years and Grasshopper for 5 years. You know, it's like I stay places long term, but I have a whole slew of like 1 day, 1 week.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, it's the great thing about our industry is that, like, if it's not a good fit, and I've worked at places too where they're like, we're not going to go through all the paperwork shit until why don't you come in and try a shift and you tell me, like, you think it's a good fit or not, you know?
Just see if you like it.
Yep. Oh, the last place was like that, Harbor House, and I loved it. And it was like, you know, I came in, filled out an app, the owner was there, sat me down for 10 minutes. It was like, come on in tomorrow, I'll throw you behind the bar, you make a little bit of money. If it's a good fit, it's a good fit. If not, no hard feelings, you know what I mean? But I'm like, he's like, I need somebody tomorrow. I'm like, sweet, awesome, cool. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I could work here, you know? And it's like, it wasn't a perfect setup, but it wasn't horrible, you know? It was like one long bar, and I'm like, I can make this work. This is no problem.
I was actually right next to Harbor House the other night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was driving. The boyfriend and I were going out trying to find dessert.
Oh, right on.
We were like literally driving around. We tried to go to Astoria, and it was slammed.
Oh, slammed.
So then we tried to go to the other Astoria, and it was slammed. And then we realized that it was Saturday night.
Yep. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we were like, oh, it's Saturday night. Can't go places and get desserts. And then I found out, because we were having a hard time like getting through traffic and stuff, and I was like, why is it so busy? Like, what the hell is going on? COVID, hello, why are people out and about? And then the next day I see like a thing where like about a riot or whatever, not even a riot. It was actually just a peaceful protest, but it turned into something crazy. Yep. And I was like, I had no clue. I was literally down there. I guarantee you that I was like just in the traffic of that. And I was like,
oh, for sure.
I have no clue what's going on. I just want to get in the clear. You know? I just eat some macaroons.
They do have some awesome sweet treats at Astoria. I honestly, like, I can't talk up some of the great places in Detroit enough. There's some gems that have been there for years and some awesome places like that. Like, it's always a disappointment when Astoria is slammed and you can't get in. You're like, oh, I don't want to wait 25 minutes for a treat, but like, it's so good. All their stuff is awesome.
But I want that creme brulee real bad.
Oh, that creme brulee is fantastic. They got some good desserts there.
They do, for real.
No, I have not been downtown Detroit in a hot minute. It's
yeah, I was just passing through, really.
Yeah, that's what's up.
It's been interesting, you know, seeing like places that are open and all that stuff. I got a call back from a place I used to work at. They asked me if I wanted to come back, and you know, it's just like, I don't even know, dude. I'm in school now. I have no clue what my life is, so.
Yeah, right. Try on new hats, do new things. The world is not going to look the same.
Right. Is my fan too loud? Can you guys hear that? No?
I can't hear it.
Okay, good. I have it on super low, but it is like 90 degrees in my room right now.
No, I got my fan on all the time.
I'm getting misty.
Well, Stevie's right there. Stevie's right there with you. Like, just some of the coolest album artwork ever, man. I love it. Hotter than July. Sweating Stevie Wonder.
Is there a place that you ever worked at that at first you were like, this is going to be amazing, and then you meet, like, everyone is great, everyone's fantastic, and then you meet, like, one person that you're like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, like, as soon as possible. You know what I mean? Like, you meet, like, the nighttime manager, and you're like, oh, God, if I ever have to work with this person, I've gotta go.
Like, fuck, there it is. That's the thing that's going to be the death of me. Yeah,
Right.
it was like, it ended up being the owner, like, way too hands-on, just like, dude,
Oh,
just
no.
back the fuck off. Like, we were all having a great time for a long time, and then it was like, oh, we got to crack the whip down, no more fun, no more this, no more that, like, and then he started, like, hanging around all the time, and he was always like, he had a real weird stare, like, he'd stare at you and stuff. Yeah, just like kind of a creepy look and stuff.
Like eyes that are too big? Or
yeah, like, you know, always surprised, like, quit eyeballing me, I'm doing my job, you know what I mean? Like, watch me like a fucking hawk, like. But when you have a good thing going and too many people take advantage of it and just give away the bar for free, and, you know, it's basically stealing, so
yeah,
you got to crack the whip somehow.
I know.
I just didn't like his style of doing that.
I remember that, like, with the place I worked at, where it was like everyone was good. We hadn't had any incidents the entire time I was working there. And then one night, one, like, very seasoned bartender had been working there for like 10 years at the time, got too drunk and gave away the wrong change for $100 bill or something like that, and got in the customer's face and was like upset about it or something. I don't know what happened, but all I know is that after that, no one was allowed to drink anymore. No one, like, everyone had to, like, you know, like, only could have one after shift drink, and it had to be written down and, like, all this stuff.
Right.
And it was like, I don't even remember, like, exactly what happened. And it sucked because it was like 2 weeks before I became a bartender, so I would have been able to, like, sit back there and, like, drink and have a good time. But I ended up not being, well, I made red cup specials sometimes.
There you go. We always
I did make some red cup specials, but yeah, I mean, like, you know how, like, there's just always somebody that you're just like, first of all, there hasn't been an issue with this person living there or working there forever, and then one time they get drunk and everyone is going to be punished for it.
Yeah, kind of dumb. Well, plus it's hard. It's hard to have, you know, you have it one way for so long where it's like, yeah, you know, hey, bartenders, do some shots. Like, yeah, let the customers buy you shots. Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of like a party here. And then all of a sudden, like, tighten it down and be like, well, no more doing that. You're like, well, everybody's been doing it for so long. It's really hard to get them to change now. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Half the people are highly functioning alcoholics that, like, that's why they work here, so that they can drink on the job. It's a dangerous game because it's, you know, technically it's illegal. You're not allowed to drink behind the bar while you're working and stuff. And exactly, but, you know, places can get shut down, and when a lot of money's on the line, I understand it. You got to protect your
I completely understand that, but then, like, maybe do it, like, on a asking basis. Like,
yeah,
you know, you're allowed to do 2 shots throughout the night. You only get 2, and you have to let your manager know when you're doing it. You know, like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can, like, hold myself pretty well when, I mean, you can tell that I'm, like, buzzed or drunk or whatever, but I can, like, count down a drawer. I can, you know, I can manage quite a bit of stuff while I'm drunk.
Sure.
That I probably shouldn't be able to manage. And, you know, it's like there's like a time that every bartender gets, that when you're allowed to drink behind the bar, that you just get too drunk, just like a little bit too drunk.
I've done that before.
everyone has that story of, like, when they got too drunk, you know. I think I think my boss found me in the bathroom.
Oh,
like,
that's
throwing
bad.
up when I was supposed to be, you know, counting my drawer down.
That's bad. Yeah, that's too much. Well, I've got a story for that. I got sent home on Halloween.
Halloween?
On Halloween, yeah. And it was like, I was working outside, and it was cold, but it wasn't that cold. And they had outdoor heaters, you know, they had, like, for the patio. And so I basically, like, I jumped on the patio. I was like, I'll work the patio. They're like,
I love working patio.
Well, but I mean, like, it was a cold night, you know, it was a cold Halloween. I don't care if it's cold.
I love working patio. Different atmosphere.
Nobody else wanted to do it. And I was like, I don't care. I'll do it and stuff. And so one of the owners comes by, is like, "Oh, dude, we got to keep you warm, man. Like, have a shot." And then like 15 minutes later, like, "Yeah, man, so glad that you're out here. Have a shot." And now Remy's had like 2 or 3 shots, and then like some customers came up, and I did a shot with them. And before you know it, I was a little bit tipsy. And yeah, I mean, it was my own damn fault. I did it to myself. I could have stopped. I could have just done the shots that the owner got me and left it at that. But you know, once you're in party mode and you're like having a good time, it's kind of hard to scale it back. And so yeah, so they're like, "Send you home. Sorry." I was pretty bummed. I was gonna make good money that night. I was like, it's not a good look.
Speaking of Halloween, I'm hoping that we're open for Halloween this year, because for those of you that don't know, Halloween is on a Saturday.
Oh yeah.
And it's fall back, so we get an extra hour.
Extra hour of Halloween.
Extra hour of Halloween. My favorite. So it's like, if we're not open this year and we have an extra hour of Halloween and Halloween isn't happening because Halloween is canceled, just like the rest of like 2020 has been.
Yeah.
I'm going to be one really big witchy bitch.
Right. I'm going to be right there with you, because it doesn't look like this is all going to get magically solved in the next
I'm going to be out there casting spells.
Yep.
Running amok in the middle of my street.
Sending your Patronus flying.
Actually, my house is the best house to come to on Halloween, because I give out candy to the kids and I give out liquor to the adults. And unfortunately, I think last year I had 1 kid, 1 adult the entire time. So I just got wasted and ate a crap ton of candy.
I do like that, though, where you walk up and they're like, a bunch of adults are hanging out in the driveway and they're like, beer for the, beer or a shot for the parents and candy for the kids. And
I do pumpkin beers and I do apple cider shots, or like,
awesome.
Fireball or something fall-y.
Exactly. Something sweet, nothing, we're not going to give you just like straight liquor here or whatever. It's going to taste good. We're bartenders, for God's sakes.
Right.
Well, I say, if it's hard to say if kids are going to go out trick-or-treating, doing this, because they're already wearing masks and costumes and stuff like that. You can kind of do it social distance, but like, will people be freaked out by it?
I think the thing is that, just generally speaking, even before COVID and everything, a lot of kids like weren't coming down around my street or like my block in general recently, because it was like they do trunk or treat. You know what I'm talking about? What is that?
I absolutely do. I've got a kid, so I know. Like you drive to some fancy neighborhood.
Is it just a business or something?
Honestly,
businesses do it.
What we did is when he was real little and first started getting into Halloween, we lived in an apartment complex, so that's not good trick or treating.
No.
So we found a cool neighborhood in the town next door, and we drove over there and got out and walked up and down that neighborhood.
Okay, I used to do that when I was a kid, but I think I'm pretty sure it's called trunk or treating, and it's like when you go to like it's a heavily populated by like businesses, like downtown Ferndale, downtown Royal Oak, and then you walk them to all the businesses, and the businesses give out candy because it's like a business and not a stranger's house. They're not going to pull your kids in, which I'm always like, come on, like these, nobody's putting drugs in your candy. No one is giving away free drugs. No. Okay, that's not a thing. No one's putting acid in your kids or mushrooms in your kids.
Razor blades in the apples.
Listen, I don't have that kind of money to be getting your kid fucked up.
There's definitely some sick, twisted people out there. And I'm sure that some of those urban legends are like, they happened one time in like Salt Lake City or California, or you know what I mean? And like, so it spread as an urban legend. It was like, oh my God, we got to check all the kids' candy. I remember being a kid and we had to like go through all the candy and check it to make sure that it looked like it was sealed up tight and stuff like that.
You wake up without a kidney one time and now it's an urban legend.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't wake up without a liver. You kind of need that.
Or liver, or whatever the fuck it was. I don't know.
No, you can lose. That's the thing. You can lose a kidney and still be fine. So they'll take your kidney.
Well, without a liver. What is the urban legend? It's liver?
I'm sure it's kidney.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I'm saying just don't take my liver.
Just don't take my liver, right? I can only get one heart, please. Don't take my heart. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so trunk or treating is kind of getting rid of the whole idea of like kids going house to house, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
And so, I mean, I used to get, when I first moved here 10 years ago, I used to get 50 to 100 kids. I would run out of candy sometimes, or
Yeah.
I'd have to send one of my roommates to go out and get more kind of thing. And now it's like I said, last year I got one kid.
Sad. That's a sad
It was
face.
very sad.
I don't know, man.
Because as adults, you don't go asking for candy anymore. You go to bonfires and parties, house parties, or nightclubs or whatever. But there's still kids out there that want to go trick-or-treating. You have to like be home to do that and then leave and go out. Just wait till 9 o'clock.
Well, I tell you, I've been lucky with my kid. All the neighborhoods that we went to, because like we lived close by Milford, so we drive out to Milford and they do it up out there. Like a lot of big spooky mansions and people like with all kinds of decorations out.
Full-size candy bars.
Full-size candy bars are good. And then he was in Grosse Pointe for a while too, and they do it up pretty good down there. Somebody in Grosse Pointe, one of the Grosse Pointes, has like the full Coraline setup going on from the movie Coraline, with like just giant blow-ups of every single character that you can remember from that
love
movie.
Coraline and I love Tim Burton.
And I'm telling you, I walked by, like I stopped and just like applauded. I was like, you guys really went all out with the Coraline stuff. Your whole house is Coraline. It was pretty dope. That was
I watched a documentary last year about that, and it was like about the scariest haunted like mansion, like home mansions, you know, scariest like, you know, haunted houses.
Yeah.
And there are people that spend like, as soon as Halloween is over, the next day they are like planning out and starting to buy the materials to like make entire mazes and like scare the crap out of people, you know.
Change it up and do it. Yeah, they live for Halloween. So
I like, part of the documentary, what made it like really interesting was that they had they were like haunted houses that they're allowed to touch you, and you know what I mean, like things like that. And some of the footage that I saw those, I was just like, that's not a haunted house, that's literally a torture chamber.
Right. Well,
like,
they do that as well. Like there are places that like you can actually pay to be tortured, so to speak, without, you know, like they're not going to actually kill you, but like I've heard of things where you have to sign a waiver that says
you have to sign a waiver,
sue them because you're super like scared and stuff like that. I have some friends who run Rotten Manor, which is a pretty good one in Michigan, and I think they're still on for this year, like getting all ready. And they're kind of like that, like a couple of months into the, you know, a couple of months before Halloween in the summertime, they're getting it all set up and stuff. I'm looking at their thing.
I think that we should keep haunted houses year round. I don't think that should just be a Halloween season thing. Like, you should be able to be like, you guys want to go to a haunted house tonight, and go to one. Exactly. I understand that they're probably too expensive to run without like a constant thing, but just like escape rooms, it's like if you had them all the time, then it wouldn't be like a weird thing to be like, hey, do you guys want to go to a haunted house? You know?
True.
Just saying, throw it out there. We have a VR place and we have escape rooms. Come on.
A year-round attraction. I think, you know, that's probably why it doesn't do it, because if there was demand for it and people could make money at it, they would do it year-round. That just makes sense to me.
I see escape room places all the time. I've never heard of anyone going to one.
Oh, I know people who have done escape rooms.
I don't know. I mean, maybe one time. It's like they'll be like, oh, let's go to this escape room. But then, I mean, do they change the escape room every month or something, or every week? Like, or
I don't know. I've never been to an escape room.
Right. Right.
And that proves your point.
Point made.
I don't go to haunted houses very often either. So I think
I do love haunted houses, but I don't know. I don't mind being scared. That's fine. I don't like people trying to touch me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't touch me.
Because that's the thing, is like some of these places, they're like, well, they can't touch you, but I'm like, when you're like motioning at me like you're going to touch me, that's when I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
Don't
like I might,
you know?
you might not actually touch me, but I might actually punch you first.
Right,
Like,
I might actually
reflex.
roundhouse kick your ass.
Nunchucks, get away from me.
I'm gonna walk through the entire maze doing this.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if you walk into me, it's your own fault. I'm gonna be kicking and punching the entire way.
You got those big Hulk fist beer koozies, and then
Yeah.
like, you know, fucking nunchucks.
I want one of those. How do I get that? Like the giant hand beer koozie. I feel like that's like a
Well,
good quality.
first you need fans back in baseball stadiums, because that's where you usually get them, is at baseball or football stadiums.
Not
But
just cutouts of people's heads.
sports are canceled, so no. I'm pretty sure you could order something like that online. You could get a giant
sure
fist. Yeah, a giant fist beer holder, beer koozie, whatever.
Every party I go to, I'm just gonna be the person with the giant fist.
I think that would be a good shtick for you. Like, I really think that would work. You could rock that, girl.
I would
Like,
too. I would literally show up everywhere with. I'd go to a bar, pull it out of my purse.
That's your thing, man. Just walking around like, "Hi, I'm Lauren. Nice to meet you."
I
How's it
have to
going,
bring
guys?
a duffel bag with me everywhere to hold my actual purse items and my giant fist beer koozie.
Be fucking great, man.
Conventions.
And they'd probably let you get away with it before they'd let me, somebody like me. They'd be like, "That dude can't bring that giant fist in here." Oh, she can. She's a sweet little blonde girl. She's not gonna hurt
I would just be
anybody with
like,
that giant fist.
please. And then they would let me.
Right? So they need to design like a giant Sailor Moon fist for you.
Yes.
Like, doesn't she have the big kind of cuffs like on
She
her
has, like,
gloves?
She has like at the top there's like a ribbon there kind of thing, but no,
Okay.
it's not like.
It's not giant.
I'll just have to stick with like She-Hulk.
Yeah, She-Hulk, or
I'll have to like paint the nails so it looks like a girl's hand.
that would be cool too. Tattoos on the knuckles.
Right?
Yeah, little henna tattoo on the top of the hand.
What would it say though? What would the tattoo on the knuckles say?
Oh, love, for sure.
For sure.
For sure, love. Or drunk with like,
Drunk.
yeah, with like a backwards R and a U, because there's only 4 knuckles instead of 5. So like,
Oh my god,
you know,
that's so funny.
the D and then R backwards and U on the same knuckle and NK. That's actually a pretty good idea for a tattoo.
Got a lot of really good tattoo ideas. I don't know how many of them I'll actually get, but I really want a bunch.
I know. Dude, a good friend of mine, Dan, who passed away like a few years ago, had one of the best, like most epic tattoos I've ever seen. And it was a whiskey bottle upside down, plugged into his liver, like kind of on his back.
God.
And on the whiskey bottle was a pirate ship, and it said "Shiver Me Liver." And I just thought that was like the coolest fucking tattoo I'd ever seen. Like, oh my god, it's a whiskey bottle plugged into your liver. Shiver me liver. How cool. It was
crazy.
Good detail too. Like lots of little waves around the ship. You know, it looked like a real whiskey bottle with an old fucking Viking warship on it or something.
Tattoo, like realism, you know, just realistic tattoos. Like those are the best.
I mean, it wasn't so much like ultra realism or anything. It was just really, really well done. You know, like it was believable. It was more cartoonish because it's a whiskey bottle plugged into your body.
Sure.
But really good style. I love that tattoo, and I thought it was hilarious. Man, we went all over the place, didn't we? We were talking about bartender's intuition, then we ended up finishing up with Halloween and tattoos and all kinds of stuff. We gotta get like don't go spending all of your hard-earned money on one of those big fists, because you got a birthday coming up in a couple of months. Like maybe that'll be a surprise. Good. Maybe when all this is over,
I can't wait to just walk around with this giant everywhere I go. I would literally just fit in my purse.
I can't wait to just go out again. Like I went out once this past week. I had a big day on Saturday. That's what I'll tell you about my big day on Saturday. So like I got up and I dropped my kid off with his mom, and then I went to work, and then I went golfing with my brother, and we split like a 15 pack in about like 12 holes.
Oh my
So,
God.
I mean, 7 beers, 12 holes. We chugged them down pretty good. So we were silly and laughing, like not enough to be drunk at the end of it, but 7 beers in 2.5 hours, 3 hours. It was we were feeling good. We were having fun. Then a friend of mine was having a little birthday party out on the driveway, like, open garage and just sitting outside, social distancing, but like handful of friends getting together and hanging out. And that's been fun. I have liked the kind of intimacy of that as opposed to going out to a bar where there's like a bunch of other people trying to tell stories all at the same time.
Right.
And really loud music. It's like somebody playing music on their little speaker from their phone, and then just a bunch of friends hanging out, outside, maybe a little bonfire going off to the side or whatever. That was cool.
Absolutely.
But then I headed downtown, or I headed down to Hamtramck to meet some friends at Whiskey, and saw their setup. They've got a really great setup for COVID because it's like nobody's in the bar, just the bartender. Like, you come in wearing a mask, you order your drink, and you get the fuck out. You go out to the patio. So, like, nobody's lollygagging around inside. And I liked it. I'm like, this is cool. It's nicely spaced out outside, so you're not feeling like you're on top of people. Mm-hmm. And everybody can have, like, their own small little clusters of friends and whatever. And you're taking your chances with them. But I definitely felt safer than I would going to a bar where it's all indoor, and, like, everybody comes in, sits down, takes off their mask, puts it on to go to the bathroom, like that's doing anything. Like, come on.
Yeah, I'm like, when we were all there, I went in and I was like, I even asked them, I was like, it's an off chance, like, do you guys even have wine? Because it's the only thing I can drink that I don't get totally, like, feel like shit the next day, you know?
Right, yeah.
I can wake up feeling great. So I asked them if they had wine, and they were like, yeah, we've got wine. They had little splitters of wine. I love whiskey in the jar. I love that place.
Great little bar, and I think, like, they're doing it right. Like, they do not feel like the kind of place that's going to be a hot spot. I feel like if somebody was there that had COVID, they wouldn't necessarily be spreading it to everybody else that's there. It's like everybody was kind of sequestered into their own small groups, and there was a little bit of light chit chat going on in between the groups, or when people would pass by each other and recognize one another. But yeah, it was a good time, and it felt good to get out. Like, you can't just stay cooped up all summer long. That's no fun,
Here's the thing. I know a lot of people are like, you shouldn't be going out at all. You shouldn't be going out. You shouldn't be going out at all. And I'm like, I totally get that. But if you're going to a place that that they are taking it seriously.
Sure.
And they're following good social distance practices, and they're making it easy for that to be a thing, then by all means, fine, go ahead and go to these places. When you go to somewhere that's completely irresponsible and no one's wearing masks and everyone's just kind of doing their own thing and they don't give a fuck and go ahead and shut us down, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, you are not supposed to be doing that. I'm not going to like sit there and be like, oh, well, I went to a bar, so you can go to a bar. Like, no. I've been to one bar since this has all opened. And that one bar I went to, they were practicing, so all the tables were separated. You could only really be hanging out with people that you came with. You had to be wearing a mask.
Sure.
Like, to even in my school, we had to wear a mask the entire time.
Oh, yeah, I bet. No, I think the way it's spreading the worst, as far as what everything that I've read and heard about, is like, if you get a large amount of people inside a confined space and they're talking and they're not having masks and stuff like that, that's where you're going to pick it up from. If you're going outside and there's like fresh air moving around and stuff like that, it's dispersing it. So, like, yeah, somebody might have it, but you're not right in their face talking to them without a mask on. I think you're pretty good.
Sure.
I'm hoping.
Me too.
If we die, we die.
Fuck.
Fuck it.
No. Seriously, though, I've been making sure that I wear my mask everywhere. I've been making sure that I'm not, touching people, hugging people, shaking hands, all that stuff, normal stuff, sanitizing, places I've sat at and all that stuff. I keep sanitizer in my purse. I keep sanitizer in my car. I have one right at the entrance of my house. Everyone is washing their hands and sanitizing. That's all that really matters. Wear your mask. sanitize, wash your hands, do all that.
That's what I think. Well, and
normal hygiene shit.
And wash your masks too. Like,
And
that's a
wash
good
your
thing.
mask.
Like, it doesn't do any good if you're just wearing the same mask over and over and over again. Because I got a bunch of cloth masks that I feel like are doing a good job. You got to rotate them out and, throw them in the wash, get them clean.
The other thing I want to say too that I notice is people touching the outside of their mask.
Yeah, it's no good.
Don't do that.
No
Stop
bueno.
doing that. Don't touch it.
Not supposed to do that.
Touch it.
No touchy.
We went off on a tangent.
We always go off on a tangent. That's what Tips from the Barside is all about. And that's why I love you, and that's why we're friends, and that's why we have a great show. Tell them where they can reach us, Lauren.
Okay, per usual, if you have a crazy story to tell us about all the time that you spent working in the service industry, or if you have friends that work in the service industry, or you've just been to a bar ever, or you've ever had a drink, or just fucking message us, you can contact us, send us your stories at barsidetales@gmail.com.
barsidetales@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Somebody's
send us your stories,
gonna
goddammit.
send some stuff. Yeah, we want some
wanna read
stories.
them.
I do. I just want to tell a story.
I'm okay with questions and stuff like that,
fun.
but I really want to talk about some things, some crazy stuff that other people have seen. So
Wild
I would
shit.
love to have some of those.
People throwing up and then fighting and falling into the puke, and somebody getting stabbed with a broken pool cue, and I don't know. Let your imagination run wild. But send us a good story. I think that would be fun.
Me too.
And maybe we'll read it next week if you send it to us.
Yeah, on the air. It's like you're famous almost. You'll have
Almost.
at least us two and my mom and my sister listening.
And Dave listens in.
And Dave will listen to it.
I do.
Dave's got,
probably.
Dave's got an ear on it. All right, you guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We love you all. Stay safe out there. Have fun. We'll see you next week.
Bye.